Hi everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. I am 4040 and joining me today is Mr. Darkane.
Hello there.
Now today's video is a bit of an introduction to our new Kerbal Space Program series. It's a cooperative warfare series, not a PvP series. This particular series is going to be taking part in between Series 3 of our PvP series and Series 4 of our PvP series, where there's a time gap in between those two series, which is about 50 years. In those 50 years, this series is going to be running. If you remember from the end of the third series, and if you've not seen it, go and see the third series. It ends in a big climax where there's a big tank battle. KSP Industries does a final stand against the invading forces of the Northern Coalition, and we manage to fight them off, and the Northern Coalition, in desperation, fires off a virus, deploys a virus that wipes every piece of active technology out of existence, that just corrupts and destroys everything. In that time, the Northern Coalition, using low technology and kind of using quite minimum kind of stuff, has managed to retain its stranglehold on the rest of the entirety of Kerbin. So on that note, we're going to go and have a little look at Kerbin, because we have installed some mods, and emphasis on the word some. So if I just click Base Boss, you see that there's a whole lot of symbols all over the map. All of these symbols are bases and places that we can go to. Yes, there's the traditional places that you can go to around these maps, but these added a whole load of new stuff that you can launch from, that you can actually deploy from. So, we have got control of KSC, and that's the only place at the beginning of this series that our two corporations, because we're cooperatively fighting, we have two different aims. We have two different objectives, but we are both starting down here on the KSC Peninsula. Now, the aim of my corporation, KSP Industries, is going to be to invade the Northern Coalition's territory and get to their stronghold, which is the KSC-2. It's quite close, well, relatively close to here. I mean, it's about a third of the way around the planet. And the way that the land warfare happened last time, or the way they invaded last time, was the Northern Coalition is the most northern landmass, a collection of nations that they invaded, that they annexed, that they took over, and then they invaded the Kerbal Space Center Peninsula across the northern land bridge, and also landed kind of tanks and things across here. So this area of the map is going to be some of our greatest challenge. It's going to offer us the most kind of resistance. But that's not going to be the only part of the map. This continent is not going to be just of our focus, because Mr. Darkane, who is representing the Jade Dragon Empire, has his own land that he wants to get back shown here. And it's actually the biggest landmass. And I believe that the place that you want to get back, your capital, is Green Peaks.
Certainly is, certainly is.
So Green Peaks is a large research centre, and it was majorly dedicated towards botanical studies. Several rare plants with important medical properties grow naturally in this area. And, well, would you like to tell me about the city?
Well, from the outward appearance, it's not a big city. Obviously, it's got a lot of rocky terrain. It's a fairly mountainous area. Lots of greenery around it, but large mountains. So, most of the city is actually under the ground, inside the mountain itself.
Okay, that's cool. I like that. Okay, so the city's underground, big caverns.
Yep.
And it's being defended. The entrance into the city is the Green Peaks Industrial Research Centre and Launchpad, helipad area.
Yep.
But you and all of us have got several important sites spread around. So, as well as your capital being Green Peaks, you've got all of these sites which are marked by these kind of golden stars. And you've got 2 on your continent. I've got 1 on my I've got 2 on my continent because the Kerbal Space Center counts as a major area. It's just covered up by this checkered flag.
Yep.
And there's quite a lot in the Northern Coalition. There's some which is admittedly quite close to your stuff, kind of back across the north, then down here. You've got 1, 2 up in the North Pole, 3, 4, one of which is the Kerbal Space Center.
Yep.
5, which is Green Basin, which is near the south. So the Northern Coalition obviously controls the most important sites. These are launch sites which allow you to launch things into orbit. And as we're trying to get our coalitions and we're up and running and we're trying to free Kerbin from the tyranny of the Northern Coalition, these sites are going to be some of the most heavily defended sites on the planet, and as well as the capital cities, which is basically Twin Peaks, as well as everything else, which is just here. So, or is it Twin Peaks? No, it's Green Peaks, sorry. So they're going to be the most heavily defended, which is probably going to take a massive coordinated effort on both of our parts to try and take over those points. There is a further aspect to this game. We are using BD Armory, which comes with standardised kind of technology. Further on into the series, if we come across a nut that's too hard to crack, we do have access to using nuclear warheads. But if you use a nuclear weapon on a site, that site is then deleted from the game. You can no longer go there. You can fly over it, you can see the ruined buildings. If you get too close with it, if you get within the render range 5 kilometers of it, your pilot dies. You get irradiated. So the use of nuclear weapons is probably going to be a weapon of last resort, because you lose whatever you were trying to capture in the first place, and you create an area of highly irradiated ground that's poisonous to everybody. Nobody wants that. Also, it might provoke the Northern Coalition, the NPCs, to start using nukes within their own right. And we really don't want that, because at the moment, all they have to do is just drop 1 nuke on us down here and then we're done for. So we're not going to be using that. We're going to try and avoid them at all possible, but maybe if it comes down to the wire, we might be forced to use nuclear warheads to try and force a stymied. So, as I said, we are starting down in the Kerbal Space Center, and this game is going to be a turn-based game where myself and Lord Darkane is going to be releasing episodes roughly about the same time. I can't guarantee it'll be like exactly the same point in and exactly the same day, but hopefully kind of within a few days of each other, the episodes for a specific turn will all go up at the same time. At which point on my channel and possibly on Lord Arcane's channel, the NPC's turn will happen, which you will be able to see, and then will be our reactions to that turn as we go. So, I think as we're starting at the Kerbal Space Center runway, I've managed to put 2 defense platforms. So Kerbal Space Center is very, very lightly defended, but it is defended at the very least. And I think the Kerbal Space Center island is actually the biggest threat to us, because it's very close, and anything launched from there, if they launched a nuke from there at us, that'd be it. Game over. So I think taking over the Kerbal Space Center island will give us a foothold on the Kerbal Space Center Peninsula, and the aim of the game is to get to Mount Snowy.
Yep.
But to get there, we're gonna either have to go around this way to Black Crags, or we're gonna have to go around this way. Now this route is more to have to do, but there's slightly less. Kind of like there's a resort, there's Ben Bay, and there's Kerman Lake. Those two will be probably relatively difficult. That's just a resort. That's going to be a tough nut. That's going to be a tough nut. So depending on which way we go around it, we're probably going to have to base hop, because we don't want to strike directly at Mount Snowy from where we are now, because we're only just getting ourselves up on our feet.
Yeah.
And if we went for Mount Snowy, we'd then have a piece of territory that's surrounded by enemy bases. And there'd be no way to defend against that, or against a simultaneous attack from every base all at the same time. There's no way. So on that note, we have off-screen, we have put some defences down, which I'll show you. Let's come back out of this. And we're going to launch, or I'm going to launch, with Mr. Darkane in the co-pilot seat, a mission to go and capture the Kerbal Space Center runway. So let's have a look at our defences that we have put down. So get rid of the probes, and we've got a goalkeeper, and we've got some AA defences. So let's go to the goalkeeper. Now these are fixed defences that we've put into play beforehand. As each person's turn, each of our turn is one aerial launch, so it could be a helicopter, a VTOL, it could be a rocket if you want to send something into a parabolic trajectory, or it could be an airplane. Airplane's probably better for the close range stuff. The parabolic trajectory stuff, maybe if you want to carpet bomb something and you're not interested in capturing it, maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
Or to get something that, like, yeah, we're not interested in actually fighting in orbit. There's nothing in orbit to fight over. All of that technology and gear got completely destroyed. And it's our focus at the moment is to try and liberate Kerbin before trying to go for the space race. So these are one of our defences. It's a gatekeeper. It's not very good at shooting things down out the sky unless they get close. What it is good at is shooting down any missiles targeted at it, or any missiles that come within its range that target the safe space centre. We also have a missile platform that has 8 missiles on it that is good at shooting down enemy planes, but it's virtually impossible for it to shoot down a missile coming at it with its own missile. It can be done, especially if the bomb or missile is big. But so that's our offensive. Anything comes near it, that will try and kill it. And this tries to defend the Kerbal Space Center. So I'm going to go back to the Space Center, and I'm going to load in our aircraft that we've built.